guys, it's Jonathan. Welcome back to another video, and it's time for a review of the 6th studio album by hard rock band 3 Days Grace. This album is called Outsider. Now, if you've seen my track review for The Mountain, you knew I wasn't really a huge fan of that song, and I wasn't really looking forward to this album that much. I kept an open mind. I still had an open mind coming into this album, but I wasn't really expecting much, especially since Human, their last album, got a lot of backlash, and a lot of people really did not like that album. For me, I don't hate the album. I still don't hate it to this day because it's been out for pretty much 3 years at this point. I don't hate the album. I just think it's very inconsistent. There's some really good tracks on there. I just think the lyrics were very stale most of the time, and I don't know, it just didn't really connect with me that much. But I was having hopes that the band would mature a little bit more, especially with Matt Walsh as trying to fill in Adam's shoes. I just wish they would just do something not like trying to copy what Adam did. I think that's what they did wrong on Human. Matt was trying to sound exactly like Adam, and that kind of didn't really work from that well, in my opinion. So without further ado, let's get into this album review track by track as always, and the first track is called Right, Left, Wrong. This track actually starts out the album considerably strong. I think this is one of the best songs on the album. The song starts out with this kind of creepy kind of guitar tone, and then it shows in some vocals from this lady, but I think it's just pretty much just a whisper, and it's just saying, "I don't know what you mean," and then the kind of electronic-y thing kind of gets a little louder, and then it erupts into these considerably heavy guitar riffs and these pounding drums, and I really love the intro. It really breaks into the album and really starts out with a punch. I really like the guitar tone throughout the entire song, and the drums are just pounding along pretty much through the entire song. And the lyrics, while they're not fantastic, I do think they work for this track. It's talking about someone that wants to run away, get away from everybody, and they just want to go their own path. They want to take their own path in life and not let anybody else influence them, I guess. So it's a pretty solid lyrical message, I will say that. And I think what really makes this song stand out is Matt's vocal performance. I think his vocal performance on this song is really what makes this song really good. I can actually say that for most of the songs on this record. I think Matt's vocal performances are much better than they were on Human. On Human, his vocal performances were not that great, really. They were decent. I just think whatever they were putting on his vocals, they really sounded robotic and kind of auto-tuned. They didn't really sound like it was him. It just sounded very stale. But I can say his vocal performances really stepped up, and I really like his vocals throughout most of this album. Even though I do like Matt's vocals on this track and the guitar work and the drum work, I do think this song is kind of a little bit repetitive, and I think that keeps it back from being a great song. But I do really like the bridge on this track. The bridge is actually pretty cool. I really like the menacing guitar work. And Matt sounds much more aggressive behind the mic. He even curses in that part of the song. And it really it's a good song. I really like it. It's definitely one of the best tracks on the album. Next up, we have The Mountain. This, of course, was the lead single for the album. And I'm going to keep my opinions on this one brief because I did talk about this one in my track review. If you haven't checked that out, definitely check it out. But my opinions have kind of stayed the same. I do like this one a little bit more, but that's really not saying much because I still think this one kind of gets really repetitive at times. I do like Matt's vocal performance on this track, and I do like some of the guitar work. I just think the lyrics get really repetitive, even though I do agree with the message and keep going up the mountain, never giving up and stuff like that. It's just kind of generic radio rock to me still. I still listen to it. I still enjoy it from time to time. It's just not a song I'm going to be coming back to over and over again. Track 3 is I Am an Outsider, and this was the second single released for this album. Now, when I first listened to this song, to be honest, guys, this song bores me. It still bores me to this day. There's just nothing really interesting about this song, and it's only like 2 minutes and 40-something seconds, I think. It's not even 3 minutes long, and this song just bores me to tears. It's not the worst song I've ever heard. I know a lot of people hate this song for its really cliche lyrical message. I just think it doesn't do much for me. It's just more generic radio rock. Even The Mountain has a lot more to offer than this track. I really don't understand why the band picked this as a single. I mean, I guess it is a title track. I guess that's why they chose it as a single, but it doesn't really feel single worthy to me. The guitars and bass just feel so skeletal in this track. It just feels like they barely even try. They just plucked a couple of chords, and that's pretty much what you get in this song. I mean, I do like Matt's voice. I think it does sound good in this one. It's just, it doesn't really work for me because, I mean, the lyrics are just so cliche. Just talking about, I'm an outsider, I don't want to fit in with the in crowd. It's just like, it was written by a 13 or 14-year-old who doesn't want to be in the popular crowd, you know? It's just, it's, like I said, it's not a terrible, terrible song. It's definitely one of the worst songs on the album. Lyrically, musically, it just doesn't do much for me. If you like this song, that's fine. It's just, it doesn't do anything for me, to be honest. Next up, we got Infra-Red. Now, this song I actually really do like. This is probably one of the best tracks on the album, and there's a couple reasons why. I really like those atmospheric guitar chords that are being played in the beginning intro of the track, and it really leads into some really nice guitar work. And while I don't really think this is a great song, I really think this is a really catchy one. And of course, Matt's vocal performance, I really like it on this track. It's just extremely catchy. It just feels like they're having a lot more fun playing this song. You know, Matt's vocals are very melodic in this one. I really like that. And I really like how the guitar work kind of plays off in the chorus. It like goes off and on while Matt's singing that really infectious chorus. I really love that. And while the lyrics are not incredible or anything like that, I really do think they work for this track. This is one song I'll definitely be coming back to quite often, and this is easily one of the best songs in the album for me. Track 5 is Nothing to Lose But You, and this is another one of my favorites on the album. I really like the acoustic guitar that's being played on this song, and of course Matt's vocal performance is really good on this one. He really has a lot of emotion to his voice, and the lyrics, while of course they're not incredible or anything, I do think they work for this track, and I really like how it's painting a picture about him not wanting to lose this person because he loves them. And of course, this can relate to anybody. And this song actually kind of reminds me of something that might have been on Life Starts Now or even 1X. I know that's kind of a stretch, but you know, it just reminded me of that. And it's definitely one that I'll be coming back to for sure. The chorus does get a little repetitive after a while, but I think that's not really a huge criticism I have of the song. I do think it's still a pretty good song overall. And now we've come to track 6, which is Me Against You. This is where we get to the really cringy parts of the album. What is this song? Why did 3 Days Grace even think this was a good song to put on the album? What were they thinking? This song is just so bad. I don't even know how 3 Days Grace even thought this was a good song to create. I mean, I thought So What from Human was bad. This song is even worse. This is probably one of the worst 3 Days Grace songs I've ever heard, if not their worst. And, you know, this is easily the cringiest song I've heard all year, and the lyrics just say it all. They say it all, pretty much. The song starts out with this kind of atmospheric feel to it, and it starts out okay, I guess. But then Matt's voice comes in, and to be honest, his voice does not sound good on this track at all. His voice is just not good at all on this track, and the instrumentation on here is just so skeletal. So bland. It's just, it doesn't do anything for me on this track. And the lyrics just make it even worse because they're so laughably bad. I mean, the one lyric that sticks out the most, of course, a lot of my friends on this Facebook group is called Rocking with Robbie Community. We've made a bunch of memes on this song, and there's probably going to be a bunch of memes on the internet about it already. And, you know, there's this line that comes a little after in the verses. He says, "Fuck that." And it's just so laughably bad. I don't even know what else to say about it. I mean, listen to it. Listen to the chorus. He says, you against me against you. If you break my back, I'm going to break yours too. Oh, man. This is the problem that I had with Human. These kind of lyrics, I mean, they just took what was bad on Human and just made it into a just big pile of crap, you know. It's not good. I know some people might like this track. I don't know why. There's just nothing to it. The instrumentation, it is very experimental for them, but it's not good. They did not do a good job on this track. I don't know why they put it on this album. And you know, I might be going a little overboard on this, but seriously, this song is just so bad. Okay, I'm going to stop talking about this track. It's not good. Easily my least favorite on this record, and it's one of the worst tracks I've heard. Easily the worst track I've heard all year. Next song up, we have Love Me or Leave Me, and this is another one that is definitely one of my least favorites on the record. This song is just so boring to me. I mean, I do like the atmosphere of this track. I do think it's good, but it only lasts for like 20 seconds until I get really bored of it. And I do see the appeal for this song. I do see how some people would like it, but most of the people I've seen that I've seen review this album, they always put this one on the least favorites. Of course, it's just so repetitive and boring. There's not much to this track. I guess there's a little bit of emotion in Matt's voice through the chorus. It's just doesn't really do anything for me. It's very repetitive. I know this is probably about a love relationship, but you know, it really doesn't do much for me. And it's easily one of my least favorites on the album. I mean, it's not the, like I said, a lot of these tracks are not the worst. This is not the worst song I've ever heard in the world. It's just more middle of the road territory. And it's just one of those really boring tracks that I can't see myself coming back to at all. Track 8 is Strange Days, and this one, when I first listened to it, I actually didn't really like this one that much. It has grown on me quite a bit. It's not a great song. I don't think it's a bad song either. I really do enjoy the vibe of this track. It sounds much more fun than a lot of the other songs on the album. Kind of like Infra-Red a little bit, but this one has a very much different feel, especially in the lyrics. This song just has a really catchy feel to it, and it sounds like it's a very fun song to sing along to. Even though the lyrics are not that great, I mean, I do like the metaphors they use in this track. I guess it's pretty much talking about, you know, that kind of like, I guess you can relate it to what's going on in the world today. We're living in strange days, I guess you could say. And Matt's voice does soar in the chorus a bit. I do like his voice in this track. I just think this one is the more middle of the road. I think maybe, I would say this is a decent song, actually. I do think it's a very catchy one, but that's pretty much about it. I do like the guitar riffs, the bass, and the drums. They sound pretty cool. And the chorus is very good. I just think they should have done a little bit more. Maybe tapped into this kind of lyrical content a little bit deeper. I just think it's kind of very surface level in a way. Take that as you will. I just think it's not that great of a song. But it is a very decent one at best. Next up, we have Villain I'm Not, and this is easily one of my favorite tracks on the record, and it's just a really infectious one at that. The song actually kind of reminds me of old school 3 Days Grace in a way. I know it's not really identical to that sound, but I think it really does remind me a little bit, maybe of the 1X era, maybe even like the self-titled in a way. I do really like Matt's vocals. He sounds much more emotional on this one, and I really do like the vibe of this track. And the lyrics, they sound very relatable. The drumming in this song is very good, and I really like the catchy guitar riffs as well. This is just a really solid track on the album, and I really like it. Track 10 is Chasing the First Time, and this one is pretty interesting, actually. I do like certain parts of this track, but there are other parts I'm not really that crazy about. I kind of do understand what the lyrics are talking about a little bit, but they kind of feel very surface level, kind of like I talked about in the other track. That's kind of a big problem I do have with this album. The lyrics are just very basic, I guess. Very surface level. You can really kind of dissect these lyrics very easily. But this track, I do like the sound of it. I do like Matt's vocal performance. And, you know, I just think the chorus is kind of repetitive. It keeps saying the first. It keeps saying first a bunch of times. I mean, it's not a bad track. I don't think it's a really bad one at all. I think it's pretty decent as well. This is one that I probably won't be coming back to as much, but I'll probably be listening to this one occasionally. Next we have The New Real, and this one is a very interesting song, a very interesting topic that's being expressed in this track with the lyrics, and I actually didn't like this one that much either when I first heard it, but it has grown on me quite a bit. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites. I don't think it's one of the best tracks on the album, but it is got some good things to offer. I really think this song does have a lot of energy to it, and I think the verses really stand out. The verses go into talking about, you know, how selfish people can be, and, you know, we just pass each other by off the streets. Let's just say, like, you know, a homeless person, and we don't really help them, unless it's fucking with their own lives, like he says in the first verse. And it's actually very true, you know, vanity, a bunch of things that we do as humans. We just all want to be special, and, you know, we just care about our own lives. And we don't really care about anybody else, because at the end of the day, it's the survival of the fittest, right? And I really do like how 3 Days Grace did tap into this kind of subject. However, my problems come when we get to the chorus because it goes right into talking about someone as somebody special's got a paparazzi, somebody special's like a gangster wannabe. I mean, I get what he's trying to say. I just think I wish they would have tapped into this a different way. I think it's not executed as well as I would have liked it to be, especially since the verses seemed very well written. I just think they just kind of put up some words and just try to connect it with what the song is talking about. Like I said, I really do like the energy in this track. I just think it should have been executed better, and it might grow on me over time. Only time will tell. But this is just kind of, it's an okay track. I do like it for what it is. And now we have come to the final track on the album, and it is called The Abyss. Now, holy crap, this song, wow, it really surprised me when I first listened to it. And now I can safely say that this is my favorite song on the album. This song just has some really cool atmosphere, especially in the verses, and then it leads up to that really epic feeling chorus. I really love how the band really incorporated these creepy sounds and these kind of off-kiltered guitar work and the drums. It just works together so well. And the lyrics are really creative in this track. I mean, they're not the best thing in the world. I mean, to me, they actually really connect with me, and I really think, even though the lyrics are kind of depressing, it's talking about going into the abyss, pretty much just jumping off the mountain and going into the abyss. But I think it's a metaphor. It's talking about, he's talking about it's the abyss in his mind, and he's going through all these different things, and it just really works. I just really love his vocal performance in this one, and the guitar work just sounds very menacing at places. Especially the last minute of the track. Holy crap, I really love the guitar work that's being placed there, and it really feels like we're jumping into the abyss almost in a way, and the drum work is just really awesome. And of course, how can we forget that last scream Matt does at the end of the song? It's just, where was that in the rest of the album? If they would have done more of this, I think this album would have been so much better. But just seriously, this album just ends on a great note. This is a great song in my opinion, and easily the best song on the album. If you don't listen to this album, please check out this song. You might actually find something you enjoy about it. I'm going to be listening to this song for years to come. I don't know about you guys, but this song just really blew my expectations out of the water. I don't think it's a phenomenal song or anything. I just think it's a great track. And it's just probably one of the best tracks that 3 Days Grace has had in a long time. Overall, this album is kind of a mixed bag for me. I know a lot of people are going to feel the same way as I do. Definitely, probably a lot of people are going to hate on this album just because, of the cliche lyrics and stuff like that. But I don't think this is a bad album. I think it would have been bad if his vocal performances weren't that great, but they actually are on this album. I really do like his vocal performances on this album. I mean, he's not perfect, of course. He's not the best singer in the world, but it really does help a lot of these songs. And I can say that this album is pretty much okay. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I just think it's an okay album. It's definitely a step up from Human. And for rating, I'd probably have to give this a strong 2.5 out of 5. And it definitely might grow on me over time. I can already see me liking some of the songs that I didn't like before. It's not a bad album. It's right down the middle for me pretty much. And remember, this is just all my opinion, so don't really give me any hate in the comments. I know probably a lot of people are going to be hating on this album either way, so I'm kind of being generous on this album. And this is probably my most negative review yet, even though I still don't think this is a bad album by any means. Like I said, I hope the band really takes forward the things that really worked on this album. Like I said, some of the lyrical content is actually pretty decent, especially in songs like, Infra-Red, The Abyss, definitely, and, what's that song? Strange Days, and then the second to last, The New Real. I hope they get into more of that kind of lyrical content with more depth. And I do really like the instrumentation in a lot of these songs. I do think it does fall flat in some places, and it can be generic radio rock at times, but I do think this album has really good highlights and even a great track at the best. The Abyss, it's an awesome track. I really like it. And I could recommend this album to, I guess, rock fans. I mean, people that listen to the radio rock, or even 3 Days Grace fans. You might like this, you probably will hate it. I don't know. It really depends. It's a hit or miss album, kind of, but it's still better than Human for sure. And, you know, it's definitely not going to be in one of my favorite albums of the year, but you never know. It might grow on me a bit. But yeah, it's an okay album overall. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching this review. I hope it wasn't too negative for you. I mean, I tried to incorporate both because that's just my personal opinion. So just don't get angry about it because it's just my opinion. And, you know, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you subscribe, you like the video, subscribe, and comment down below your thoughts on this album or my review. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.